Yep.
It's 4 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Great. Thank you very much, Tom. Just a reminder, welcome to the 2026 Town Hall. It's also a board meeting, so we do have to follow regular board actions. So with that in mind, I remind everyone, please silence your phones. For those of you on Zoom, please raise your hands to be heard. We want to make sure that we do let everyone heard on Zoom. First of all, thank you for attending. Mark, how many do we have on Zoom?
27.
Okay, and we have about 50 in the room. With that, we are going to get started. The meeting's been called to order. The notice was placed on October 8th at noon by Mark on the HOA board. And with that, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It should be noted in the minutes that Pam is taking, that Jody is not present. John Strike is joining us via Zoom. And with that, we're looking for approval, or can I have a motion to accept the minutes from September 22nd, please? Jerry made a motion. Do I have a second? Mark makes a second. All those in favor? John?
Yes.
Thank you, John. With that, the motion carries unanimously. All right. Now on to the exciting 2026 Budget Town Hall. I do want to thank Mr. Solomon in advance for preparing the slides, the information. And with that, Jerry, here's your clicker. You have 2 hours for the presentation, sir.
That's all? Can you hear me? Okay, great. Again, I'll reiterate what Scott said. Thanks for attending. A lot of familiar faces out there, which I feel for you. Yeah. Because you're going to have to go through some of the same slides for the third time. So I realize that, and I'll try to go through them quickly. We'll get it under 2 hours, Scott. You could do the over-under. Okay. Where's
I have it, sir.
clicker? Okay. So the agenda, a lot of topics to discuss. The biggest one that the board wrestled with is this, what we call the promise versus the outcome, which I'll go through. But the good news is we debated it a lot. And it was interesting exercise for the board. And then all the usual things we'll go through. But like I said, I'm going to try to go through them rather quickly. My definition of quick may be different than your definition, though. So I'll try to move it along. So in terms of the budget, just start off the first line. The average increase will be 2.7% for assessments. No one home will experience 2.7% because we have different neighborhoods, but that's what the overall increase is for the quarry. Your exact assessment depends on which neighborhood you live in, and I'll be showing that shortly. Wish I could see it in front of me instead of sideways. We had a benefit in 2026, a rollover of the $144,000 of the surplus that we're forecasting as of now. Hopefully that holds. The budget will also include $85,000
for the sugarcane.
And just to be clear, the only ones that are paying for that sugarcane mosaic virus are single family homes, not including the custom homes. We're just earmarking to do the work on single family homes right now. This could all change, but right now that's our game plan. If it's not spent, it rolls over to the 2027 budget. The flip side is if we do need more money, whether it's for single family homes or for the common area, we first would use the contingency funds. If that wouldn't be sufficient, we'd special assess. You know, I know that's a dirty 2 words, but we're in an unknown area here, so we're kind of playing it by ear. Exactly where we're gonna spend the money for sugarcane mosaic virus, that will be determined, is it fair to say, in Q1, Renee?
Yes,
Is
sir.
when we'll make that determination. So we'll see what it's looking like 3 or 4 months from now. Okay? In the budget, we spent a lot of time focusing on food and beverage. You'll see we increased the staffing in season. You know, we heard a lot about feedback, about service, and Scott's going to talk about things we're doing to improve that, some new programs. And then the last bullet on this slide is we're going to require reservations, and I say very seriously there. The only way we're going to get better service is if people adhere to making reservations like you would at any other restaurant. So here's the breakdown in terms of the assessments. Yeah. As you can see, the first column, single-family homes, there's a component, the master, that affects everyone. That's going up 2.2%. And then, the first column, single-family homes, is going up 2.8%. And the difference is that sugarcane mosaic virus. Then you have breakwater homes are going up 3.4%. They have some charges that are unique to their 14-house area, neighborhood, we'll call it. Custom homes and condos just pay the master. So we're pleased to just show a 2.7% increase, but for most people, the master is going to be 2.2%. And we think it's going to be far less than the neighboring communities, although they're also working on their budgets as well. Any questions on that slide? Pretty straightforward. You'll understand it? Okay. People always ask, why are there different amounts by neighborhood? So it's the same chart that I put up. Lawn maintenance is divided between common, single family, and breakwater. We have a contract that's broken up that way, and we keep track of the actual invoices by that way. Same thing with mulch, same thing with tree trimming. Then you can see some of the things that are unique to the breakwater homes. And then the surplus rollover again is just breakwater and single family homes. And then the sugarcane mosaic is again to those two. By the way, this is the first time we're rolling over the surplus by area because it's different outcomes by each area. And every year or two, we get better and better at doing this. When I started, we had 15 neighborhoods in addition to the common area, the beach club and whatnot. So we do get better and better each year. Okay, next one. There's going to be 4 slides on this. I'm going to try to make it as simple as I can. This was the area probably more time was spent on than anything else, this and sugarcane mosaic virus. What I have there, that first bullet, is what we shared with you at the January meeting of this year. And what we said at that time.
It's your reminders. Your computer.
Really? Wow. What we said at that time was if the resale fee would pass, that the assessment would be in the range of -1% to +2%. If it didn't, it would be 5 to 8%. So there was about a 6-point swing depending on whether the resale fee would pass or not. At the annual meeting, we reiterated that. We said it would be relatively flat. And at that time, we didn't even have the first month's results for 2025. So we said this excluded sugarcane mosaic virus and anything else that would pop up during the course of the year. That was our best estimate at the time. So the pickup for the resale fee And then we had $150,000 deficit spending that we aren't repeating in 2026. That's about a 6-point pickup in overall assessments. And then as the year moved forward, we got this rollover, and that's almost a 2% pickup. I'm rounding. We use every 80,000 is 1%, just so you know, as a rule of thumb. So in total, we said there would be an 8% pickup. So had these things not happened, the budget would be that much higher. Then when we got the sugarcane mosaic virus and the fisheries, we progressed to about a 2% assessment decrease when adding the surplus rollover. So I just want to see if I could make this really easy for you. We started at -2%. We added 1% for sugarcane mosaic virus. We ended up at 2.7 plus. That's a 3.7% difference. That difference is related to really a couple of projects that we're doing and the investment in food and beverage. Because as the year went on, we learned that we didn't have the staff we needed for food and beverage to do the service. We only had a sous chef for half the year. We're putting him or her in for a full year. So that's the new information that we got, because we want to give everyone the service that they expect and we're required to deliver. So that's how we get from close to a break even to a 2.7% overall assessment increase. This way I don't have to go through and bore you with all these slides, but there is backup for any accountant in the audience that wants to fact check me. They're free to do it, but I don't need to bore everyone in here. Okay? I think you'd all agree to that. Okay. And when you look at where we're spending money, the base assessment for everyone is really flat. What we have is a 24%, is that 24?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 24% increase in reserves, which is the usual increase because we're on a step function for 3 years with a normal reserve. And then when you add the sugarcane mosaic, it brings it up to a 24% increase. And then every year, the capital project fund fees go up 3%. So when you take the average of all of that, you get to 2.7%. Okay, so basically, as a board, after much debate, we responded to the learnings over the last 8 months to get us to the 2.7%. Okay, now the slides I always present on how we're doing this year versus the budget. And we picked up not as much as we thought on resale fees, that first red box, because as you all know, home sales are slow here, just as they are anywhere in Florida or across the nation. So we picked up an additional 110,000 in resale fees. At least that's what we're projecting through the end of the year. But the biggest difference we had between the budget and what we're actually expecting is food and beverage. You can see we're going to be down about 330,000 versus the budget. We had an aggressive budget, safe to say that. So the budget is going to be more tempered as we go forward into 2026. So when you look at total revenue, that's down 271,000. It's all a result of food and beverage. We also, if you recall, started the year off very slowly last year. One of our busiest months, January, the first 3 weeks, we hardly did any business because we had terrible, terrible weather and we were closing a lot of days. And when you only have peak season for 4 months, you can't afford to lose 3 weeks because of weather, but that's what we did at the beginning of last year. So everything else is pretty close because we have no other revenue that varies to any great degree. On the expense side, total expenses were less than budget. Scott and the team did an excellent job as they saw revenue for food and beverage coming down. They really amped down on the salaries and benefits, so that came down 244,000. It's kind of chasing the revenue decline, but it'll never be dollar for dollar. But they did a good job managing that. Otherwise, everything on this slide is pretty much on budget. Repairs and maintenance that's where we find budgeting 100,000 for contingency, and we're not spending it. So that's the other big favorable number. But other than that, really not a lot of differences versus budget. Certainly, I've talked about a lot of these in previous meetings. Now we take the next step and go to the budget, where we're comparing where we believe we're going to be this year. So we're comparing budget to reality for this year. You can see the assessment increase, but the biggest increase there. Where am I looking for? Food and beverage. Yeah, we're just budgeting a 6% increase. So given that you'll see menus with a little higher prices, I don't know what percent, but as you can imagine, we face ever increasing escalating costs. So, you know, there will be new menus coming out when, Scott?
End of October.
End of October. So we're not projecting a tremendous amount of volume growth. We wanted to be conservative, but recognize that costs are going up, and therefore prices are going to be going up somewhat similar. Resale fees, that'll be higher than this year because we have the full year impact of the higher resale fee. Other than that, reserve income, we're collecting more in reserves. So it's pretty much straightforward. The other is up because of the surplus rollover. So hopefully that explains where revenue's up. And the expense side, if you're used to listening to me, you'll see we're going to go through these individually. But the biggest increase on that slide is salaries and benefits, and I'll talk about that separately. And then I'm sure Scott's going to make whatever I said sound a lot better with what he's going to do with those dollars. Okay? So we always budget break-even performance. So hopefully we do that or we do better. Some of the projects that Scott and the team will do this year I say are included in the budget, but they're not included in your assessments because we provide funding through the reserve account. But these are the projects we'll be going. When we say repaving, seal coating, and striping, what exact street is that out here, Scott?
Kayak Drive.
Kayak Drive. So that is wearing pretty well, and that has to be done. We're going to resurface both spas. We're going to get umbrellas for the tennis courts. And on the next slide, you're going to see umbrellas. And just to save me answering the question when it comes up, I'll do it now. Umbrellas for tennis courts are in this slide because we fund that through the reserve because they pre-existed. So we always reserve to replace what pre-existed. On the next page, you'll see umbrellas for pickleball area. They never existed. So that's a new item. So that we have to pay out of funds. In the future, we'll reserve for replacements of those, you know, in X number of years, whatever the reserve engineers tell us the appropriate time frame is. We're replacing 2 maintenance vehicles, some beach furniture. The beach furniture we have out there is pretty ragged. If anyone's been out there, it's been there, I think, since day one. It's time to be replaced. And we have one dock. Dock D needs to be repaired. So we're going to be spending roughly $220,000 out of the reserve fund. We put in over 800 and we're spending 200. So the reserve continues to grow. If you could hold your question, please, Mr. Bogart. Can you hold your question till tomorrow, please?
One question. The umbrellas. What kind of umbrellas are these? How many are you going to buy? $50,000 is a lot for umbrellas.
We have targeted for tennis courts, and the shade structure for pickleball, again, is the balance of that.
And those are necessary. Why? Because I looked out there and there's like a lot of umbrellas, and you know, we have those, like we have Stan's Bar where people go, I don't know what's the aim of it?
Provide shade. We
Well-
noticed in the latest survey that shade was a problem. We know that the tennis umbrellas, which are the dark blue umbrellas,
Yeah.
those were from at least 5 years ago, is when, you know, they were last used around the pool, purchased prior to that. So it's time that we replace those, sir.
Where are you going to put the shade structure? I don't get that.
It's just a matter of some sales we're looking at over on Court 1 in particular. And then those umbrellas that are in Court 1 will move to Court 5.
No, I mean the pickleball.
That's what I'm
The
talking about.
pickleball shades.
Okay. Okay. Our next one is the project list. We have two things, as I said, shaded structures. They're not umbrellas, they're structures. We'll see what it turns out. I know the team is still working on it. And then one thing we need to finish is lighting on the pickleball courts. We don't have lightings on the two ends. I don't know if that's east and west or north and south.
North and south.
North and south. And we need to do that. So I know Scott and the team wants to get it done as soon as feasible. So they're working on that. There were other items listed on this chart, but they're included in the normal accounts. These are new items. The other items we spend for every year, so they really didn't deserve to be on the project list. Okay. Let's do this. Is this out of, this is your.
Yep.
You want to do this during the budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we did want to spend a little bit of time talking specifically about access control. And quite frankly, this is a follow-up to the discussions that we've had throughout the year on trespassers and what can we do about trespassers. So first and foremost, what's important is that we distinguish access control from security. And this is a very important distinction for us, and it's actually a very important legal distinction for us, okay? The QCA board is charged with controlling access to the site, okay? What we are not tasked with is ensuring security. And number one, that is written in our CC&Rs, but number two, our attorney wants to make sure that the board and the community clearly understands what the difference is. No community association anywhere ever should be tasked with security. And the reason is we can't guarantee it. And if we ever put ourselves in a position where the community feels the board is responsible for their security, we're setting ourselves up for some very serious legal liability. Okay. And so we've had multiple discussions, both internally and with our attorney, Richard DeBost, about this, is to make sure we're clear on what the distinction is. We will do everything we can to control access. Okay. We want to make sure people understand we can't be responsible for individual security. That's not the case anywhere, whether it's in a private home, whether it's in a gated community or not. Okay. And please understand, if someone feels the QCA board is liable and somebody feels that they want to sue the QCA board for their own personal problems, please understand that is one person suing 899 people. Okay. They're not suing the board. They're suing the entire community. So it truly is in everybody's best interest that we understand that distinction. Okay. That said, we are not ignoring access control. Okay. What we do want to make sure we understand is that what our response policy has been, and at least as of now, what the current thinking of the board and the board situation is. So you can go to the next slide, Scott. First and foremost, what we want is anybody who sees trespassers, please immediately call the Collier County Sheriff's Office. It's best to call their non-emergency number, to be honest. We do have, I'll say, dedicated response teams. Whether they're available or not at the moment that we make the phone call is another story. But they actually have a very good track record of coming out immediately. What we want you to do is notice the number of trespassers as well as the location of the trespassers and report that immediately. They will come in and do their best to find the culprits at that point in time. Last year, we had 28 different visits that resulted in 22 citations being offered. Now, these are citations to minors. Okay, so the extent of those really only comes into play if somehow there's repeated problems where it's actually happening. In those 22 citations, that wasn't necessarily across all 28 visits. Many of those 28 visits, by the time the sheriff's office gets here, the people are gone. They've realized what's going on and they've escaped because in several of these, there were 3 or 4 citations issued. Okay. That actually has been quite effective, at least as far as we're concerned. A couple of reasons why, and really there's one important reason why it needs to be the sheriff's office is they've got the legal authority to do something. We do not. Okay, the most we could do is confront somebody and say, please leave. Quite frankly, if we do that, whoever is doing the confrontation, we're putting their safety in jeopardy if the person that they're approaching wants to go down that road, okay? So the reason we want the sheriff's office informed is because they're the ones with the teeth. They're the ones that can actually do something about this, okay? As far as, what we're looking to do, this year, we have actually added a lot of landscaping. Our first and foremost priority is to solve these breaches via landscaping. We've been, wherever we've seen easy access points, and I'll say there were a number of them. There are still a few of them, and every time we see one, we're going to patch it. We're using Eureka palms to do this, which are very thick and thorny. If you've been to these places, and many thanks to John Strike, who's on Zoom, he did a complete analysis of the perimeter. He took me out one day and kind of showed me the hot spots. If you look at the landscaping that's being put in place, it is actually very good, okay? Now, with the entirety of the perimeter, and I forget the number, but it's close to 2,000 linear feet, if you go down Collier and up Immokalee, that we have to cover. While there certainly are spots that can come in one by one as we see something big enough, and a teenager is going to be able to squeeze through a lot of small areas. One thing we do, and we have noticed, is they're coming in with fishing poles. They're coming in sometimes on bicycles. They're coming in sometimes on scooters. Anything that's big enough for that, for sure, we're closing up as soon as we can. I don't know the exact number of what we spent this year, but I'm going to guess it's between $30,000 and $50,000 probably. As soon as something's identified, we're putting something in to fix it, okay? What we have chosen not to do in this year's budget is the list of items that we've seen there. We've kind of taken an exhaustive approach to it. What are all the things we can do? Between, quite frankly, the cost of any individual one, the cost of the collective piece, which is, I think, $600,000 or $800,000 if we did everything. And finally, our confidence that how much this would really solve and resolve problems. And I'm just going to take fencing for an example. It would be a very different community look if the entire perimeter had a chain link fence around it. Anybody that was a teenager, and certainly me as a boy, knows there wasn't a fence I couldn't climb. If I want to get in, you could get in. And we just looked at it and we said, this is really not the image that we're looking to project. It's something we will keep in mind. We understand the easy popularity of that is, why don't you just put up a fence? The reality is they're probably just as easily breached. And quite frankly, it's not just expensive, it's a little bit of an eyesore, and it's an ongoing maintenance cost as well as we go. Again, we've talked about the manning of the back gate. We've talked about for example, 24/7 front gate. The problem isn't from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. The back gate we don't believe, it's not that it's never happening, that putting someone for that kind of cost at the back gate is really going to be a wise investment of community funds. The Rover, we think, while it sounds really nice, it's probably the most boring job in the world. For the 8 or 10 times a teenager might be here, to think that was going to stop it. So this is where we stand. We just wanted to address this up front because we do know the time, attention, and quite frankly, emotional energy this got for quite some time, at the end of the spring and early in the summer. We do view this as a 10 to 12 week problem when school lets out. There was no doubt that when spring came, there was a little bit of problem before school let out, but then as soon as school let out is really when we started having a lot more notice of trespassers. So again, what we're just asking the community to do is, you see it, call the CCSO right away, let them know where it is, and we'll respond accordingly.
You put that over here.
Dial 911. You can. We recommend the non-emergency number, though. It's typically the better route for users.
And maybe we can publish that, Scott.
Okay, getting back to the budget. Going to go through the areas in terms of their level of impact on the budget. And the first thing I want to address is food and beverage. what we call the subsidy. And I want to make sure everyone understands this. Of course, it's also part and parcel um, of the following discussion that we're going to get into about minimums for the food and beverage operation. The two topics go hand in hand. So when we look at this slide where we have the food and beverage sales, you could see what our budget is for 2026 and the forecast for 2025. The gross margin, that's simply our sales less our cost of sales for food and beverage. And you can see we budgeted to make 60%, but we're only forecasting 54%. So when I talked about we had some learnings and we realized food costs were escalating, our pricing wasn't where it needed to be, or it wasn't keeping up with that, we lost 6 points of margin. And we're budgeting that same 54% margin. It's not like we're going out and just rapidly increasing prices, but we want to keep things affordable, and we're being consistent with where we're operating this year in next year's budget. Then we have the salaries and benefits, the indirect costs. Indirect costs are all of those things that are, whether they're cups, takeout boxes, linen, employee meals, whatever you could think about it. That's not the people, and it's not the food and beverage. Bottom line is, we, as you all have heard many times, we lose money in the restaurant. It's an amenity, no different than pickleball, bocce, tennis, the pools, or what have you. And I wanted to share what we lose. In the budget, we expected to lose, we don't call it lose, we call it a subsidy. We expected to have a subsidy of $981,000, which means everyone is contributing $1,090 to the food and beverage operation. We're actually forecasting to come in this year at $1,176, and we're budgeting next year at $1,349. There is nothing different about these numbers. Actually, they're better than a lot of communities. Pretty much every single HOA, every country club, every golf club loses money on food and beverage. It's the nature of the business. And I'll explain why. We talked about it at previous meetings, but I'll get into it. So just so you understand, we are all contributing. Okay. So those are the same numbers, but we're going to have some new programs. And as I said, alluded to before, we're going to expand. I guess someone doesn't like what I'm saying. We're going to expand the staff to make sure we have the proper homeowner satisfaction. And that's increasing our food and beverage subsidy by $233,000. And, you know, at 80,000 as a point, that's just about 3 points to the budget. And it's up from last year as well. What I have in the red in the bottom, in brackets, 2.9 percentage points, that's how much this is impacting your overall assessment in 2026 versus the 2025 budget. It has the biggest impact, and that's why we really didn't get what we said in January and March about flat or break even, because this was a new learning and we have to cover this. We cannot skimp on this, and we felt this is the appropriate thing to do. Okay. Okay, next thing. Why do restaurants at HOAs or golf clubs lose money? 3 big reasons are structural limitations. We're not open to the public. We don't have a 20-25-mile radius to attract customers. We have 900 doors, their friends and their guests. We typically only have 1 seating per meal. You go into a restaurant, they're turning over those tables 2 or 3 times. And the other thing is we're open long hours year-round, regardless of demand. You know, a restaurant's going to look at their demand. They're going to be open maybe 4 to 9. We're open from noon to whatever, 8 o'clock, and it's empty a lot of those time periods. But we're there in case someone wants to walk in and get a meal at most any time. And when we talked a lot about just closing Mondays and Tuesdays, there was a big hubbub about closing Mondays and Tuesdays when we hardly have any business. We have operational challenges. Homeowners expect exceptional value, not cost efficiency, which everyone has to keep reminding me. Reservations are uncommon, requires overstaffing. What was it, last Wednesday, we had reservations for what, 26 people? Or
No, we had 65 reservations.
65 reservations, and we had 220 people show up. And that's typical. And so when you look at the challenge Scott and his team have, they have to staff for the worst. Otherwise, it's a huge problem. People are not making reservations. I'm just as guilty as anyone else, okay? But we're going to put a big emphasis on that, because when you get 3 or sometimes 4 times the number of people showing up as reserved seats, it's a huge challenge, both from having the proper amount of food and the proper amount of people. We have cost pressures, executive chef and other staff employed year round. You know, people that live here year round see the same people all summer. There are dedicated staff, and we're paying them. You know, you can look at the budget, the one line that says manufacturing salaries. It's roughly, what, about $50,000 a month. It happens whether we're doing business. We don't do $50,000 a month in revenue in the summer months, but this is what we face. Homeowners often resist portion control. I don't drink, but I hear they don't like weaker drinks. They don't like cheap ingredients, and they don't like low-end consumables. And public restaurants, more often than not, pay their employees the minimum wage. There is a minimum wage for tipped employees that's below what we pay, and make it up on tips. We pay above the minimum wage. So again, as a reminder, the restaurant is an amenity. It's not a for-profit activity, and everyone gets to contribute. I'm going to ask you to just hold your question, Steve, till I finish this section. Okay, I know you're anxious, but let me finish. Okay, so the next topic that Steve likes to talk about is food and beverage minimums. It's a key question. And when you look at it, what is the objective of food and beverage minimum? Is it to improve our financial performance? Is it to encourage more homeowner attendance? Is it to ensure all homeowners contribute to food and beverage revenue? The reality is that additional revenue really improves financial performance, okay? The variable costs, whether it's salary, food, labor, and indirect costs, the variable component of that pretty much equals or might be slightly larger than additional dollar of revenue. So attracting more people is not going to enhance financial performance, as difficult as that might appear. I worked in business for 40 years, and we chased increasing revenue. It was a shock to understand this. When I first joined here, we did a lot of reaching out to other communities. We got a lot of benchmark studies. This is a fact of life for the kind of environment we live in. Okay, so that's the situation in terms of addressing one part of the objective of minimums. The other thing is, you know, at the last meeting, we said, why don't we put in it? Why don't we just keep a $500 minimum, Jerry? Well, 80% of the homeowners already spend $670 or more. So it's not going to get us anywhere. Yeah, you could do a $1,000 minimum and try to get a little bit more out of those people, but it's not going to mean much. As I said, all homeowners are already spending sort of a minimum. They're subsidizing $1,176 already through their assessments. You know, just about 2/3 of our residents are seasonal residents. So it feels punitive to ask them for another 500 or 1,000 when they're already contributing and they don't even get to use it most of the time. And last, it creates resentment and strains operations during peak season. You know, the fear is they're only here for a couple months a year and they all really descend on the beach club during those precious busy season. And service is really challenged because we can't handle if 100% of the people all of a sudden come in because they have to spend their minimum. It just doesn't work. So it's a lot of things that we debate and discuss and just don't feel it's appropriate. So just to wrap this up, our goal is voluntary participation. Okay, first and foremost. We want to attract people to come to the beach club because they want to come, not because they're forced to come. They already contribute, and we don't get any financial benefit from coercing people to come when they don't want to come. Best practice, if you look around, the high-end HOAs do not have minimums, okay? If they're attached to a golf club, they do because that's what golf clubs do. But if they are standalone, they typically don't have minimums. They rely on the existing subsidy and they use creative programming to drive engagement. So that's what we aim to do, and that's what we think is fair for all 900 homeowners. So that's the board's position on minimums. That seems to come up every year. Hopefully that helps. Steve, I'll entertain a question, but not the same questions that we spoke at length at the last meeting. You got some new ones, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, going back to why HOA restaurants lose money. Yeah, they lose money. But, what you said before was you said there's no more volume expected, but you're going to hire more people. Now, I think if you're going to do that, you don't want to put on minimums. I think minimums are fine. They're not subsidies. You're getting something for them. You don't pay $500. You go in and you get your food and your drink, if you want to include it, subtracted. It's not a subsidy. But homeowners, yes, we do expect efficiency. We expect good food, but we also expect cost efficiency. Overstaffing, we shouldn't be overstaffed. Reservations are key. If somebody doesn't have a reservation, there's not enough people working, go somewhere else. That's the way it works. You can't have 26 reservations and 200 people coming. It's not going to work. Minimum wage. I think that's about it.
I'll just address the first part of your question where you said
Oh, and the
overstaffing.
70 a year is an average.
Hmm?
670 a year, I believe, is an average. No, it's a minimum of 670. So we've got 100 and
a
150
quintile,
people,
20%, 180.
right? 180 people who, and a $500 minimum to me, it's not a subsidy. You're getting something. You're getting food. You're getting whatever for that minimum.
Let me address the first part of your thing. It's not overstaffing. We were understaffed in season last year, and we're putting the proper staff on in season, which is more than we had last year. As far as the last comment you just made, there are many people that move into a community that don't plan to partake in every amenity. What do we have? Maybe 150 tennis players, 150 pickleball players. We don't force people that don't want to participate in an amenity to take part in it. And food and beverage is the same thing. We shouldn't force people to take part in an amenity that they have no interest in. So with that, I'm going to move on.
I just want one more thing that has nothing to do with anything of this. I just want the board to know that if the regrassing project in the golf club passes next season, the golf club will be closed. January through the middle of, that's what I understand. What I mean, 27. Golf club's going to be closed. And that's 355 people who won't be playing golf, and that's going to affect the budget. Just saying, in terms of hiring, if you're going to hire full-time, if you're going to pay benefits, 27 budget's going to be a tough.
Yeah, that's a year away. Oh, okay. Okay, moving on. Reserves and capital, straightforward. That does raise the overall assessments 2.5 percentage points. I'm not going to read these slides or go through it. They're there for your benefit. I know you'll be anxious to study it after the meeting or tomorrow, but if anyone does have a specific question, they're free to email myself or Scott. But there's no need boring everyone with going through each and every one of these pages. Landscaping, Whoops. Landscaping, we did, I just want to give kudos to the landscaping committee and Scott and the team. You'll notice we're spending less in 2025 than we budgeted. And the main reason is we work closely as a team, and there's a lot of projects involved with landscaping that do not have to be done immediately. And we wanted to make sure we were above break even, and we asked them to throttle back some of the things this year, which they did. And that's why there's more money in it next year to catch up on some of those things. But they do a good job, and it's a good team effort, so we appreciate it. Salaries and benefits. So you can see the budget for 2026 is very similar to 2025, but we didn't hit the 2025 revenue. We're going to get closer to that, not achieve it, but we're going to spend more than we spent this year. Combination of, if you look at any salary number, just add at least 4% for inflation. You look at corporate America, all the surveys, it's roughly round numbers, it's 4%, it's going to go up. So on 3.5 million, that's 140,000 increase right there. The other thing, the state of Florida increased the minimum wage on September 1st by $1. Was it $13 to $14 or $14 to $15? 13 to 14 next year on September 1st, it's 14 to 15. And we have people that are very close to that. When they bump the minimum wage, it's sort of a domino effect with other people that make a close to that wage. So, it tends to go up a little bit more. And then the full-time sous chef, and then adding more staff in season. And maybe we don't need as much if we don't have to guess, because we do have people making reservations. So that would be a great thing. And we told Scott, if he wants to beat the budget, we don't hold him back. He could spend less. Contracts, no real changes there. So again, you're used to these slides. Utilities, what am I up to? That's a guess. You read some scary stuff in the newspapers about what FPL is going in for rate increases, but we budgeted about a 4% increase. Insurance, that's an unknown. We are getting close to the end of hurricane season, and we hope we make it. There's more capacity in the marketplace right now, so maybe we'll get a surprise, but right now we put a 5% increase for insurance over our actual rates for this year. We won't know that till January. Repairs and maintenance, because we don't have the deficit in there, that is actually going down, but there's no major changes in any of these other areas. I just want to wrap this up. In terms of, we talk about what we're spending, but the board, the team, the finance committee, we also work on saving money for the community. So we put together some of the cost savings that we have worked on over the years so that it's not unidirectional. We do work to save money for the community. So when you look at these annual savings, we did put in LED lightings throughout this community, all the lampposts, and Cheryl was leading the board when a lot of these happened. So thank you to her and Pete and whoever was on the board previous to this board. We did remove the third shift on the front gate, and that does save us $70,000 a year. For the 2 or 3 people that go through between 11 o'clock and 6 a.m. Back gate staffing, it's a lot of money. Not quite $250,000, but it's a lot of money. In-house raking a beach. We used to buy, when I first came here, $25,000 a year in sand. I couldn't believe it when I saw the first invoice. I said, I never thought I'd be buying sand. But we were spending $25,000 a year on sand. Now they rake the beach, reclaim the sand, and it saves us money every year. Credit card, we put a service fee, but we felt it's only fair if people use credit cards and get the points. Why should the rest of us subsidize that? That saves us $30,000 a year. the landscape committee, and Fred, who's in here, repurposing donated plants supplied by homeowners. That's a great program. I mean, they give their blood, their flesh, their everything. Isn't that right, Fred? To repurpose some of these plants. I mean, he repurposed some of my cactus and he showed me the point of the cactus literally went right through his palm from one side to the other.
Oh, boy.
And he's still doing it. So there are so many things. No, I didn't get the bill. There are so many things people volunteer and do to help this community that we're not aware of. So thank you, Fred, and thank everyone for what they do. We insource work, janitorial services, street light repairs, power washing, other than streets and curbs, and a lot more of the carpentry, masonry, plumbing, painting, gate and light electrical repairs are happening in-house. So we have a more competent team that could do these things. I didn't put dollars because we're not comparing to what we'd pay today. I'm not gonna do that and put those kind of numbers in. I know the first portion, those are exact numbers. But this goes on every year. And then over the years, we've taken significant steps to cost-saving initiatives. We transitioned to a more seasonal staff, Scott and his team. That saves us a lot of money on medical insurance, $50,000 a year. We've also renegotiated first service residential rates, which saves us $150,000 a year. And then, of course, we had the one-time settlement, which by law, I'm not allowed to tell you the number, even though I think most people know what that number is. I cannot put it in print or be recorded saying it. So a lot of good stuff went on. So to recap, 2.7% increase, $85,000 will be in the budget and reserved for sugarcane mosaic virus, a focus on food and beverage operations. Quarterly assessments, quarterly assessments, you know the rule, due on the first of each quarter. If you're feeling generous, you could send it in a month in advance. We won't send it back. They're delinquent if not paid by the 16th, and then the collection letters start. So, you know, I want to thank the board, the finance committee, some members which are here, Scott and his team, that we had a lot of good debate about these numbers. It was a much smoother process this year. But I think we ended up in a good place and hopefully you feel so as well. So with that, I'll take questions. I know I'm under the 2 hours, so we have some time for a couple of questions yes, Jay.
Please.
I just have a clarification.
People on Zoom, and just to understand, there are as many people on Zoom as there are in the room. That's
Okay.
part of the reason why.
Is it on? Yeah. Just a clarification question on the single family home sugarcane virus contingency that we're charging, the 85,000. If that's not spent, it rolls over to 27, but that would only be used for single family homes, not the general community.
Thanks a lot for bringing that up, Jay. Yes, we have to be very careful. If we decide to spend money on the common area, it has to come out of our normal expenses that the master would pay. We cannot take any of that single family money for common areas. So thanks for asking that.
I have a question about the,
Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
Here at the quarry, we like to say our name. I know you haven't been here in a while. but
I'm-
your name,
I'm
please.
Scott Garvin. No, I don't want to be Scott Garvin. Not during budget time.
There you
The reservations, the problem with reservations right now, or at least the system last year, that you could not make a reservation the same day of. Has that been corrected online?
I would ask that we hold that answer for a little bit later in this presentation, sir.
Oh, okay.
He's going to go over the policy.
Because I wanted to make reservations last year, but I couldn't get them last year if it was the day of.
I think we have that solved. Pete.
Okay.
I know we have. it solved, but-
Okay. Anyone online? Oh, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Scribania. I want to tell you all how lovely the presentation was today. Thank you for all your hard work, your committees, your volunteers. I do have a question. The trap gate, it says back on the access control page. I don't know what that is. Is there?
Yeah, so the trap at the back gate currently exists where you come in and then essentially the gate,
Oh, so,
metal gate opens. What the plan was is to possibly update that with another arm that made it a little bit more secure. So only one car could enter.
okay. And then on the other part of my question pertaining to the gate access is if you're coming home in an Uber after 11 o'clock and before 6,
Sure.
I mean, is there any way you can tell everybody, just take a paper ticket with you before you leave the community so you can get back in?
Well, there's a couple ways. You can call your cell phone. You can call yourself from any of the two boxes. You
Okay,
call yourself, you can literally buzz yourself in. So that's one way. You can certainly leave it on your phone. In other words, you have that barcode on your phone saved and
right.
that you can keep with your phone.
And
as
you
long
can
as
just
as the
put that in
Yep,
the reader? Okay,
and that's for as long as you as the resident put yourself as a guest. It could be one day, it could be longer.
all right, thank you.
Pardon? Where is that barcode? Barcode is found in Dwelling Live.
Yeah, it's a
So you can
QR.
send a guest a barcode, you just send it to your own cell phone number. Maria, did I get those not right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. No one
Great.
online.
Fantastic.
Hearing no further questions, comments from the board. John, do you have any comments online?
No comments. Thank you, Scott. Good job.
All right, now we're gonna get into the more colorful, more fun slides. So this is where I would ask that, again, we're gonna keep most of the questions till later. So one of the things that I didn't do a good job last year is explaining what we're gonna do at the Beach Club for 2025. So this year, as we roll into the 25-26 season, the team and I, along with feedback from the town halls, from the coffees and cocktails with the GM, by the way, cocktails are a lot more popular than the coffee. From board input, I did want to thank John Strike and the Ownership Experience Committee, which is a new committee. They've helped our team with a lot of suggestions that we're implementing as we go into the 2026 season here. So I have to put on my glasses, forgive me. Oh, I also want to thank the board of directors for their support in these plans that we have. So today we're going to talk about consistent service. We're going to talk about boosting member satisfaction and ensure fiscal responsibility. Those are the three key points that were our large takeaways when we look at the town halls, what the board's asked us to produce, and quite honestly, what the professional team is committed to produce as we roll into the season. Consistent service. One of the things that we're doing is that we haven't done in the past is an all-team training day coming up on the 21st of October, which is next week. We're pulling in all of our service team members. We have our professional staff as well as a guest speaker coming in to make sure that our team that's going to be on the floor, forward-facing, has answers and understands the steps of service. Reservations. We're going to talk about reservations a lot in this program, so please pay attention. If there's one takeaway from this, reservations, we believe, with your help, are going to assist us in achieving these goals. Recruitment and retention. This is a big one that we focused on. In year one, when we opened, we hired a lot of full-time servers, not understanding what the business would be, full-time, meaning year-round, summertime, providing benefits like we talked about. 2025, we developed our seasonal staff. Therefore, we're not paying the health insurance, things like that. One of the good things that we were able to do is we have a lot of our a number of our seasonal staff coming back. And then the other thing that Gracie and Milton are doing is those lineups with chef before every shift. We talk about the specials. We talk about anything that's new on the menu. We talk about, quite honestly, we talk about you owners. If we have special owners coming in, when I say special, that means you're paying, no, I'm sorry, really special that we need to have special attention to. Reservations, and I will get into this much deeper as we look towards the policy. and the board discusses a policy that I'm putting forward. We will talk about reservations for dinner starting on November 1st. With those, we're going to continue that first come seating at the Q Bar High Tops, and the Beach Club Bar. We know that for dinner, we're going to encourage everyone, check in when you arrive for dinner with a hostess. And then also, if you don't have reservations, you're playing bocce, you want to come over, please understand that we'll have a wait list. Even though it may look like the reservation or the dining rooms, there's a table here, table there. We want to make sure that what we call pacing or smooth flow of service, we make sure that we control that. Again, we'll get into this a little bit more as we move through. I started with recruitment and retention. We started hiring staff back in September. Make sure that we're vetting applicants. Our applicants now go through 3 interviews to make sure that they're right for our floor. The reason we can do that is, of course, we're not blanket hiring a lot of people like we had to do the first 2 years. We're much more organized this year. I give credit to Gracie and to Milton, Chad as our chef. We do prioritize referrals from current team members. We have 4 of those joining us where they've worked with them before. Next one you see up there is team longevity. We believe that one of the keys to our success is making sure the people who do a good job stay with us. And that comes from everything from great training, but also making sure that they're called out when they do a great job. When you fill out those comment cards, we post those in our break room. We want to make sure that when they do a great job, our team knows about that. The other thing that we're doing is we're developing those part-time employees like I talked about. Some people may only work 1 or 2 days a week. They're just looking for additional hours from their current staff or current employment off property. But the idea there is that they're coming back to help out with the bigger events, busier nights. The good thing that we're able to do is promote from within. Many of you know Brian, who's been on the floor. If I say he has lots of tattoos, you'd probably know Brian. Brian has shown us a desire to move up, to do more, to be more attentive. He's our banquet captain. You'll see him doing a lot of setups, a lot of breakdowns, a lot of things that are outside of normal service. He's been a great help the last 8 months. Mike has been promoted officially to our bar manager. Most of you have known Mike as our bar manager for the last 8.5 years. Now he has the title of bar manager. I don't know if we have to salute or what happens, but Mike's been doing a great job. And I will tell you, he is super energized for the season. He is really that rock that helps us understand what the owners want. I come up with crazy ideas. Mike looks me in the eye and says, maybe not this year, maybe next year. But he's really done a great job in helping our team. We have Kevin, who's joined us, one of our newer servers. He joined us from Quail Creek. Kevin is a unique individual. He used to be a food and beverage manager at another great club. He's decided in life he just wants to be a great server. He's helping us out tremendously. He's one of our newer additions. Oddly enough, Kevin, who left us, who has been here for 7 or 8 years, is now replaced by Kevin. I can't make this stuff up, but a great addition to our team. And you'll see over the next 2 months, I think like I said, 4 of our seasonal employees are returning, which is working out great. So. All right. Number 2, boost member satisfaction, owner satisfaction. We heard a lot about happy hours in our town hall meetings. We heard about having happy hours 7 days a week. We heard about increased member events. They didn't all have to be the really expensive New Year's Eve blowout type events, but we just want more gathering social type things. We heard that the cuisine carousels we're doing in the summer that we implemented have been very popular. Open on Sundays. We had a big discussion going back in May, I believe it was, about being open Sundays. We will be open year-round Sundays. And then the pop-up complimentary tastings. A lot of people have liked those. It just adds another component to the Wednesday socials or Friday or Saturday events, things like that. Let's get into happy hour. Who said, okay, I like yeah. Happy hour. We've been doing a lot of experimenting this summer. Happy hour will run from 4 to 6. It will feature on Wednesdays. All drinks $20 and under will be 50% off. And we'll continue that midweek mingle pricing. That will go through the season. We want you to come and join us on Wednesdays. Many of the long-term owners remember Wednesdays were always the Q Bar night or the Beach Club night. We'd like to return it to that. This is one of the ways we're going to invite you to enjoy Wednesday nights. Thursday through Tuesday, the other 6 days of the week, it will be 4 to 6 p.m. And just like you remember, we had a percentage off all drinks under $20, and that's 25% off. So that way you are able to come down, get a little bit of a break on a cocktail on those other nights and things like that. Just a reminder, last season, it was, again, 3 to 5. We heard that 3 o'clock was too early to start drinking, at the Q Bar, I should say. And then it was only Monday through Thursday. So it wasn't 7 days a week. So we've listened to what we've heard in the town hall. We did run some numbers. And this, I will tell you, contributes to some increased costs. And you're seeing that in our margins in particular. I look at bar costs. If I'm running 28% bar cost, obviously 4 to 6 on Wednesday, that's 56% bar cost. Math correct on that? All right, I did math right on that one. So really, you know, we're trying this, we're working this in because this is what we've heard you as owners want. In the long run, there is a cost associated with doing these programs. Our team believes strongly that this is a good happy medium, as opposed to doing half price drinks all week or something like that, which is when we started running the numbers and ran it past the finance and board, we felt that was a little bit too aggressive. So we hope to see you for happy hour Wednesdays and beyond. Increase in member events. We're going to do 2 wine events per month. And this will range from a wine dinner to a wine tasting. Those are popular. One of the new things we're implementing, once a month, we're doing dine societies. This will be for a very small group, about 25 people in the private dining room, an elevated dining experience as you see. We like this type of thing. We get to use a private dining room. Chef and his team, our front of the house team, get to stretch their legs a little bit, be creative, but there will be a cost associated with this. Again, having 20 or 25 people, we anticipate the price mark to be $100 to $125 per person, not the normal smash burger price, if you will. But again, we're looking at probably a 5 to 6, 7 course menu at this event once a month on Tuesdays. Club-wide events. We got some new things that we're planning. Stock Your Cellar, which comes up here in the November, December timeframe. We're going to work on a boat parade. Mark and the Lakes Committee, anybody who has a boat, we encourage you, start planning for this. It's on the calendar right now. Get a group of people. The idea is we're going to cruise around the lake, light it up, and then everyone, if they'd like to, can either park at the docks or beach their boat, as is allowed, and come on to the Q Bar for a little after party. We do have, again, the things that you're used to, such as the Masters, Super Bowl, the Derby, and then you'll see some other things, such as theme nights, seat to table, those types of items. Not seat to table, seat to table. And, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, y'all like bingo, which is tomorrow night. Holy cow, you like bingo, by the way. So we have a lot of people that come to bingo. All right, let's talk about these weekly cuisine carousels. We tried it for a month. I think we started it in June, May 15th, June, somewhere in there. Again, price-friendly, small buffets, petite buffets. We offer them Thursday. We're going to offer it through December. And then we believe it's going to be helpful when we roll into the Bocce League, because we saw a lot of walk-ins on those Wednesdays and Thursday nights. People would say, hey, let's go grab a bite to eat. I don't want to wait around because there's 100 people that have reservations. Get on the wait list. Once you're on the wait list, let's go find a table. After that, on Wednesdays and Thursday nights, starting in January, February, March, maybe a little bit of April, we'll see how it's going. We're going to have the Wednesday and Thursday nights cuisine carousels. Again, they offer everything from, they're themed, typically they're, I'm trying to think, Asian, Mexican. I think tomorrow night is New England theme night, so definitely check that out if you're at bingo or make reservations. Again, it provides a little bit of a change. Some people like it because it's going to be quick, it's efficient. We like it because it provides you an opportunity. If you are rushed to get to a bocce game, you have an outlet there, or if you're coming from a bocce game. Pop-up tastings. We've developed some really good relationships. And this is all stemmed from our wine club. I have to thank Ron Strike for originally thinking about that wine club, getting it going here at the community. But the more wine that you buy, last year you bought about $100,000 worth of wine through the wine club. Those relationships help us and get vendors interested in coming, bringing winemakers. And like we say, we do the free sample tastings and things like that. So those relationships that we have, we're maximizing those so that all of a sudden there's a tequila tasting, there's a wine tasting with maybe one of the cuisine carousels. It just adds that extra component that we think our owners enjoy. Next thing, ensure fiscal responsibility. Jerry talked a lot about this. We are on board with this. I believe we've shown to the community, as well as the finance committee and the board, that as our revenues fluctuate, so will our labor, so will our costs. So we want to be very dynamic when we talk about how we're ensuring fiscal responsibility. It's done a couple ways. Leaving the summer promotions in the summer. Bad news is, next couple weeks, half-price pizzas go away. Sorry, that's only for the summer. Got to see us in the summer for those. Good news is, half-price drinks stay on Wednesday. We will be adjusting menu prices. We'll get into this a little bit later in the presentation. Menu price, or we plan to change the menu. I believe it's 6 times. They're programmed. If you look on the club calendar, the team's done a great job of laying out the entire 2026 calendar online. You want to know what's happening on a certain day. If we have it planned, it's in there. And then also just utilizing the labor dollars wisely. Adjusting menu prices. One of the things to note, you've seen it at a grocery store. I wrote down a couple of things. We've seen some prices increase by as much as 30%. Not all of them's 30%, but some of them certainly. The ones that I wrote down, some big ones that we use. We look at grouper. That was up 39% year over year. Blueberries, which is kind of crazy, is up 40%. Something as simple as bulk sugar was up 30%. Eggs, 25%. French fries, 7%. And then pound of American cheese, 10%. It's just those. And I did look online. I did a little bit of research. There were some board emails last night. And I guessed someone would want to know, why is it going up like this? So in country clubs, we deal typically with the upper end as far as pricing. When it comes to, we're dealing with the center cuts, the meats, things like that. So really beef right now is what's driving the increases across most of the menus. We saw that beef price spike because of tariffs, lack of labor or labor shortages. And surprisingly, it's a hangover from 2022 and 2023. When my friends back in Wisconsin came out of COVID, needed to make up some money, they sold a lot of their cattle or their herds. So now there's a lack of herds that is making up the problem with the beef shortage. So that's where all that's coming from. Couple things, how we fight a little bit of the menu pricing increase is we look at diverse and dynamic menu rotations. If we know a certain price, like right now, if you go to a store and try to buy New York strip steak in center cut, you want that nice 1.5 inch thick, you're going to pay top dollar for that. So are there different cuts of meat that we can use to highlight? So we certainly look at that. We will try to rotate by season, and believe it or not, as tariffs come and go, which they have been doing, we are actually able to be pretty proactive as far as if we see something coming, our vendors will talk to us and say, hey, look, this is coming. You might want to change your menu. So that's where we want to make sure that we're, again, using that word dynamic. If it's coming at us, we want to make sure we're getting to it quick. Flexible staffing. This is really where we're adjusting staffing levels based on needs as much as possible. Obviously, if you make a reservation that day, I can't materialize a human, within 4 hours to come. We're going to make do with what we can. So again, please make your reservations as early as so we can adjust staffing levels. But the other thing that our team's very good with, and our team has accepted, if it rains, if the volume isn't there, we send people home. In other words, at 5:30, 6 o'clock, if we see it's not materializing, we're being very proactive in sending them home. It's tough for the employees to do that because they may plan, their lives around working that night. They could potentially go work somewhere else. But so far, our team's been very understanding of that, understanding we're going to have a great season, and they'll make it up. I mentioned master calendar. I have to give Lauren credit, Maria, all of our team, Gracie Milton, that put this master calendar together. You've seen a save the date has gone out. If you look online, all of these are on there. It helps us plan the budgets, helps us plan what's happening, everything from menu changes to the events to planning of entertainment. When I can book entertainment 6, 8, 10 months out, we do get a better deal. So it allows us to do that. Private event update. I know this is always a hot topic. Currently, we have 3 buyouts booked for the 2026 season, and I have 4 larger dining room events. So 7 events are what planned. They are in the calendar. If you'd like to see them, you can go on the calendar and see where they land if you have guests coming or you want to make different arrangements. Oops, sorry, I didn't do that. The next thing we have is marketing branding enhancements. Hopefully you've seen it. Everything from water to napkins to the online presence, the menus. We really have done, I think Lauren gets credit. I know Lauren gets credit for this, for really enhancing the marketing branding from the emails to the things that you're seeing. We're trying to uniform or make uniform what our identity is. And that comes from the board. I think it was 4 years ago, Cheryl, that you actually trademarked the Quarry Beach Club logo, or copyrighted, I should say, not trademark, copyrighted. And we've been using that. So great job to Lauren. She continues to elevate that. The entertainment and decor. This is a big one that you'll see for the 2026 season. It's included in the budgets, similar to what you saw this year, except we're a year more educated. So we're able to understand a little bit from the town halls what you're looking for. Signature events. You know, when we talk about our signature events, we have 5 of them. The big change that you'll see this year is our fall festival. That's happening in November this year. In the past, it was held in January. We felt that there's enough people in November on that November 15th. It worked out well this year because we have a number of great events for the Alzheimer's Walk that's happening on the 15th. We have an Alzheimer's pickleball event earlier that week. I think the Flint Tones are playing on a Thursday night. I'll give Marcus a little credit. He's doing his opening event, if you're a golf member, on the 14th. So really, it's going to be a great weekend, great week to be here at the Quarry. And we're going to really try to build on this as we go year over year over year to make sure that it's a fun week. People plan on being here for this week. So again, that's another good one that we're doing for those specialty events. Next one, banquet training. With the banquet training, we're really focused on steps of service. Lauren's working on this with her training and things like that. Overall, we are looking forward to a successful season. I do want to thank the board of directors for their support. We did a presentation to them last week, Friday. The department heads were able to present to the board. I think there was a number of board members that enjoyed the presentation and bought into what we're doing. Last thing I'm going to talk about is the reservation policy. I'm asking the board tonight to take a look at this policy. They've seen it a number of times. We've discussed it. I would like to have them make it a policy. I'll go through the 3 slides and then I'd open up for the board to take a look and talk about it. As we continue to grow and enhance the dining experience for our community, we're introducing a formal dining reservation policy. This is mainly focused on the dinner time, which is 4 o'clock and beyond. Okay. Policy is designed to ensure that all owners and their guests can enjoy timely, consistent, and exceptional service across all dining venues. You're helping us manage both the service from our servers and consistency in the kitchen and wait times. When the food is ordered till it's served, this policy is key to maintaining the elevated standards of hospitality expected and demanded by our owners and Distinguished Club. We appreciate your corporate cooperation and understanding as we implement these procedures, and we look forward to making each dining experience at the club seamless and enjoyable for everyone. I'm going to go through these really quick as the highlights. I've provided handouts here. Mark is going to make sure that we email this slide deck out tomorrow. For those of you following at home, read through it. Please make sure you understand it. If you have questions, ask me, send an email. Owners may make online reservations 60 days in advance, no later than 3 hours prior. Pete, I think that answers your question. To the desired dining time. Reservations can be made through the online portal and or by contacting the hostess team directly. They're listed there. Upon submitting a reservation request online, it's great. You will receive an immediate response. I say immediate, within 2 minutes, that you're successfully booked. And if it isn't booked, you'll be able to figure out why. Is it a wrong date? Did you pick something wrong on the calendar? Or did we make a mistake? In addition, there's an email reminder that will come to you 48 hours in advance and 24 hours in advance prior to your reservation time, kind of prompting you, hey, are you really sure you want this reservation? Do you have everybody you're supposed to have on that reservation? Then the reservation threshold. We believe that 24 guests per 15 minutes or 96 people per hour is what we can handle. Keep in mind, we have 64 additional walk-in seats that we have to accommodate as well. That's between the Q bar, and then the dining room. So we're looking at potentially about 150-ish per hour is what we're looking at accommodating as we look at the reservation thresholds. Lunch service, we encourage you to make reservations. We want to know you're coming. We'll make sure the area is prepped, ready. Again, poolside, no reservations needed in that noon to 4 timeframe. Dinner service, this is really what we're talking about. I mentioned the Q bar seats, the 6 highboy tables adjacent to the Q bar, regular tables and fire pits for dining area for reservations only at the Q bar, sort of what I call the outer rings of the Q bar. Reservations, Sunset Terrace, reservations, please. Main dining room bar seats. When arriving at the dining room, all owners, whether you have a dinner reservation or not, check in with a host or hostess. We are going to be having an additional host stationed at the Q bar on the Wednesday through Saturday nights, depending on if it's busy, time of year, what's happening, to make sure that we make it easy and accommodating for everyone. Please wait for the host or hostess to seat you. If you're going to the bar to have a cocktail, just give us a sign. Hey, look, I see there's an open seat. I'm going to go have a cocktail at the bar. That way we know what you're doing. If you'd like to order food, check in with a hostess or check in with a bartender, same as you're doing now. Group dining reservations. This is an important one. We know a lot of you like to have parties. In fact, we have a party of 20 that signed up for next weekend for the steak dinner. We've called them and asked them to separate tables, and they've done that, and we appreciate that. Online reservations up to 8 people. Parties of 9 to 12, please call the hostess just to confirm. Hey, look, we want to make sure everything's good. Groups of 13 or more considered a party. That's where you contact Lauren, see where we're at, what we're doing, things like that. Cancellations. This is where you can help us tremendously. If you're not coming, cancel. I'm going to say it again. If you're not coming, cancel. Even if it's 10 hours advance, 12 hours advance, we love 24 hours because then we can take action. Chef won't prepare as much food. We may not call in that extra server. That may free up a table for someone else who wants a table. Be respectful of your owners. That's important. Special request. We're happy to accommodate special requests. Late arrival policy. I'm going to be pretty frank and say this is the button seat policy. If you have a 6 o'clock reservation, please, you have about 15-minute window. Be close to your table in that 15 minutes and please sit down at 6 to 6:05. Help us keep those reservations. Again, that's important for our spacing, our timing. It does affect everyone in the dining room if you seat a half hour late. Typically, we don't mind if you sit early, unless it's 8 o'clock. Again, the disclaimer, and then basically the thank you. This is a big learning curve for our quarry. We know that the beach club is casual in nature. This will really, really help our team do a much better job. So everyone in the room, spread it to your friends. If you're the one making reservations, if you're online, please, please make reservations. It is literally active right now. So you don't have to wait till November 1st. Go ahead and make your reservations tonight. Plan ahead. Look at the calendar that we've loaded for the entire year of 2026. Make your plans. If you're coming back in a month, make the plans for that night you get back. That will help us tremendously. With that, I'd open it up to the board for discussion. Jerry.
Yeah, I had a question. I wasn't sure when you were talking about the carousels on, not sure this is on.
It is.
When you're talking about the carousels on bocce night, the whole objective is to speed in and out, but you still need reservations.
We do. That's a great
Okay.
point. We love bocce players. We love when you come over to see us. But we notice on Wednesday and Thursday nights, there's a lot of walk-ins. Typically, we're experiencing about 100 was the average, 100 walk-ins on bocce nights. We love to see you. Don't get us wrong, but we'd just like to know you're coming. If there's any chance that you could talk to your team, and I know sometimes it depends on if you win or lose, if you have a celebratory cocktail. However, just plan on winning. Make a reservation. Yeah, other questions? John, do you have questions on? John Strigg?
No questions, Scott.
Thank you, John. Mark, any questions online?
I do, from Mark Billy. I am on the website, I have logged in. I'm reviewing Beach Club calendar, I cannot find the special events Scott is mentioning that we are scheduling for coming this season. Is there another schedule?
Well, I will help him find them. because I did see him 2 days ago, so. Yes,
A question. Is it
Mark, can you-
possible,
Mark, can you write that name down so I can contact him?
is it possible to develop an app? The golf club has an app. It's so easy to make reservations. It's just a one-stop thing. I don't know if it's expensive or if we had the ability to do it, but if it is, it might facilitate the reservation.
Sure,
process.
great question. I've been asked quite a bit about an app, particularly by the board, finance committee and OEC committee as well. The app, literally by developing the app, all we would do is save you 1 click. It's 2 click to get to reservations now. The app would be 1 click. So right now, I don't think we're willing to spend those dollars to get there. We do have a lot of success with people who do make reservations. And so again, we think that 1 extra click is worth the saving.
Yeah, we'll make one comment. And the board's aware of my feelings with the reservation policy. This is as much for everybody's benefit as the board. I've just had a lot of concerns about the reservation policy. I'll be supporting what's here, but my concern is if this inhibits spontaneous walk-ins. And we went through this in detail. And number one, this presentation Scott took us through, his team took us through last Friday. And I would say, they were phenomenal. The team was really, really good. The amount of professionalism and thinking that went into it was outstanding. So you all should have a lot of confidence in Scott's team that's managing it. So we peppered them with questions and they answered every single question extremely well. And certainly we had a lively discussion in that about reservations, and certainly I fully understand the benefits of it. I'm just concerned about the spontaneity piece of it. And we suffer from having a huge restaurant where my concern is people see open tables, going to be told we can't fit you in. And the walk-ins will be limited to the 2 bars, the inside bar, the Q bar, and then the high tops, which is about 64 seats, which hopefully is adequate. And certainly the trade-off there is Chad and Gracie spoke about the challenges of what happens in the kitchen that none of us see. We certainly hear the complaints and we see the complaints when they come in. And, Chad was very interesting medical comments. If you saw what was going on in the kitchen in prime rib night, you'd have a whole different view of prime rib night. As much, we all accept that it was a failure, but he was like, it was like a war zone in there trying to get everything done. He says, and that's what people don't necessarily see in the process. So I think encouraging the reservations is very important. And I think it's very good. I do think this is something that we as a community have to keep our eyes on. If you're not getting seats because they're blocked out, and some of my concerns, for example, you've got people drinking at the bar and they're not eating, you want to eat, but that's the only bar seat that's available. It's going to be a little bit frustrating as people enjoy just drinking for the night while someone's saying, well, I'm waiting for a seat. Reservations, the high tops in the Q bar will be walk-in. So if you have a reservation for a regular table, and you say, can I go to a high top? The answer should be no, because that's going to be for walk-ins versus the other. There are 300 seats in the Q bar, which is shocking to understand, but that is part of what the challenges are. So anyway, I personally think that this is going to be a little bit of an adjustment for the community. I know it's probably a little bit of an adjustment for me and my friends who come here often spontaneously. We forgot to take something out for dinner. We're just doing something else. And so I think that this is something we're going to need a lot of communication and cooperation on if this is going to be good and it's going to be successful. So I think I understand the importance of it. I just want to express, I've had my concerns, I've voiced my concerns, and we'll do our best to make this work.
Thank you, Don.
You want a motion?
I would look for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the reservation
Thank you,
policy.
Pam.
And I'm-
Jerry, second. Further discussion on this motion? To adopt the policy, all right? All those in favor? And John?
John,
Yes, I'm in favor. Thank you.
That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much for your support. I do appreciate that. All right, we have a little bit more of business to attend to. I appreciate everyone's patience. Discussion of proposed updates to 2026 boat, dock, trailer, and golf agreements. Mark and Dr. Schoback have been working hard on this, so I appreciate their help with that. Each and every year we take a look at the golf cart agreements and the boat trailer agreements. This year we're proposing 2 changes. I would ask for the board to put a motion forward to approve these. They were circulated in advance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Renee makes the motion. Do I have a second? Is there discussion on these two changes? All those in favor?
Yeah.
Motion carries. John? It's okay.
He's good with it.
John?
It's over.
Trying to figure out how to unmute.
Yeah.
He is muted. I can see him.
John, you're muted.
He might
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
So that motion will carry with with 6 votes. Or, I'm sorry,
Five
five
majority
votes,
zone.
1 abstention, I would guess, is the way to say that. All right, next one. Each year, the Board of Directors.
He just
uh,
unmuted.
passes a resolution for Mark or I to sign agreements for the community on behalf of the association. And they are essentially right here. The idea that we would sign the agreements for the boat storage, the dock rentals, the golf carts, sort of those agreements. The resolution is put forward to the board. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution? Jerry makes the motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Renee makes a second. Is there discussion on this motion?
No.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Motion carry, oh, sorry, and John,
And I support, thank you.
motion carries unanimously. Thank you, John. All right, next we have committee initiatives and updates. Here I would look to Mark to lead us in this discussion.
Well, we are just kicking off the Strategic Planning Committee, and Chip Harrington is going to be the chair. And also on the committee is Jan Bazow, Jay Burton, Mark Chandley, Dorothy Montgomery, and Greg Rapp. We had our first meeting yesterday. We're working on a questionnaire that we're going to send out to the community, in the next month or so. Following that, Jan has volunteered to lead us on a strategic planning process. She is a professional strategic planner. She has her own company, and she does this with corporations. This is in order to come up with a vision. The board is going to participate in that along with the strategic planning committee. Then with the Lake Committee will be meeting this Friday. The big thing that we're working on is revising the lake rules. There are not really any big changes. It's more a matter of organizing them. This was something that we inherited from, I guess, Pulte that's just kind of disorganized. So it's going to be a lot easier to follow, a lot easier to work through. Both committees are interested in increasing usage of the lakes, more lake utilization, and we're excited about the boat parade. And I'm wondering if maybe we should have a theme for the boat parade this year.
Yeah, I think we should.
So maybe we can come up with something for that. If you have any ideas for a theme, please let me know.
I will make sure Lauren gets with you.
What? Titanic. I think we could come up with a better one than that.
Thank you.
And not Gilligan's Island either.
That's been done, right?
All right, the next one we have, the rec committee, sports league policy discussion. Tom, do you want to lead this or would you like me to?
No, I can lead this one. Thank you. So there's been a lot of discussion and we've had policies in the past. We're updating the policy now for the sports courts. And I'll go through some of the detail. I won't go through it ad nauseum. But specifically for tennis, summer and fall leagues, matches can starting at 11:30. Winter and spring, they cannot start until 1 o'clock. We consider, that's based on what we consider prime time in those 2 times of year. We do have in here, I guess, and I'll get to that in a few seconds. We've put a priority order to the teams and their scheduling. And I think the one thing to understand is we have anywhere between 8 and 10 tennis teams. We have 6 or 7 pickleball teams. And there's a lot of competition for the courts and overlap of when the leagues play. And that's part of the reason we really need to address this very specifically. So aside from the times, we have a prioritization of the leagues they play in on who and how we're going to deem the priority to get to courts. And similar to pickleball, where prime time is 8 to 12:30, summer and fall matches can start at 11. Once we get into winter and spring and prime time, they can't start until 12:30. We have a $50 fee for non-residents that are playing on the team. So that covers their use of the courts for matches. If they come in for practices during prime time, they will still also be charged as we would any guest during prime time. If the practices are non-prime time, we will not be charging them. And that's a $10 fee. We also have, and this is very pertinent for tennis, not so much for pickleball. The 2.5 to 3.5 level teams need a minimum of 50% quarry residents in the fall, winter, and spring seasons. We allow that to go down to 25% in the summer because of lack of players and attendees. When you get to the higher levels, 4.0 and up, we drop that level to 33%, and that's because there just aren't enough players within the quarry to fill out a team. So we've worked very closely with the rec committee. This is all coming through the rec committee. We have both tennis and pickleball players. We have ambassadors that we lean hard on to make sure these work as well as possible. The rosters need to be to us 14 days in advance so we can work out the scheduling of courts and court times with an indication of that. So that's really, it's a minor update to some of the times and the percentages and the prioritization. And maybe one of the key things is, among all the tiebreakers, one of the things that is considered is percentage of quarry players on the team. So teams with 80 or 90% quarry players, which is most of the teams, will get a priority in scheduling their matches ahead of people who only have 25, 33, or 50% on their team. And that's just fairness and equity into what we're doing. From a principle standpoint, and then when it comes to these things, I get very principally based. The one thing that the rec committee is very aligned on is that teams, we will give some prioritization to teams. They're representing the quarry. They play under the quarry banner. If they win, they get a championship sign up on the courts. And we will do everything reasonable to accommodate the teams as we can without jeopardizing the overall homeowner experience. Occasionally, there are times, and we ran into this, I know last year, just by schedule, we had 3 pickleball teams that were all by league scheduled at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. We worked very closely with the leagues that when one team was away, another team could be home. The few times, and it happened, I think, twice all season, that we actually had twice, we had the exact same time. We moved one of them up to 11:30, which technically was prime time, but we did it because it really was an exception. We would do the same as necessary on pickle courts. We will not dip into the 9:30 to 11 o'clock time frame, which is by far the most popular, but we will accommodate as best we can in fairness to what the teams are and what they represent and what the homeowners are looking for. So there are times we have to go on a case-by-case basis, but this policy really does handle probably 95% of the situations we'll run into.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. So at this time, can I have a motion to approve the policy?
I'll make the motion to approve
Tom
this.
makes the motion, Jerry seconds. At this time, there's discussion on this. Seeing no discussion from the board. John?
I support.
Thank you, John. At this time,
No,
that-
we were voting.
call for a vote.
There we go.
Oh, sorry.
All right, John, thank you. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And this will be implemented, I believe it was November 1st.
November 1st, correct.
November 1st, this is the one, policy. All right, so with that, now we have the questions for owners. Or by owners, I should say. Mark, any questions online? No, sir. Okay. Seeing no questions, before we adjourn, 3 quick things. Number 1, a reminder of a new thing that we have happening in October. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We have our Pink Pumpkin Contest. Please look for it online. It's a great contest. You decorate a pumpkin, it's pink, you bring it to the quarry, breezeway, and we're all gonna vote on who has the best pink pumpkin. And all the funds that are raised go to support breast cancer, a charity here in Naples. It's number one. Number two, many of you know, as I mentioned, November 15th, we have our fall festival. It's gonna be a lot of fun, casual, on the lawn, great weather, I guarantee it. For those of you in the room, there are 2 tickets under chairs, row 4, row 10. Whoever gets to them first. We'll get those free tickets. They're raffle tickets. And then last but not least, the beach club staff is looking forward to seeing you all for half price drinks and half price pizzas. So we look forward to seeing everyone over there after the meeting. With that, sir. Oh, no.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 5:39,
All those in.
5:40.
John, do you support that?
Absolutely.
John, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Let's help, yeah.